Hey, what's up guys? I'm Ryan from ExtremeTerrain, and today I'm here with the DV8 Off-Road Hammer Forged Front Stubby Bumper for your 2018 and up JL. This is going to be for anyone looking to change up the appearance and add some functionality to their JL. And as far as install goes, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 3 since you can install this in under 2 hours using simple hand tools. This is a heavy-duty steel bumper with winch plate that's not only going to add some utility to your Jeep, it's going to add a ton of strength to the front end. This is a high clearance stubby bumper that's going to give you great approach angles for those trails, and it's made with the same construction and materials as higher end bumpers for a more reasonable price. At just over $400, this is going to be one of your most affordable options on the site. Now with that being said, let's hop into the install. To begin this installation, we'll need to remove the front bumper. We're going to begin by removing this plastic air dam under here. You're going to use a flat screwdriver or a trim panel removal tool, and then we have 2 screws down there. We'll need an 8mm socket for it. So we're going to have 8 of these clips along the front side. You're just going to pry up on the center of these. That's going to release them, and we'll just pull those out. Next, we're going to remove the 2 screws. Once you get that last screw out, you can remove your cover. So next, we're going to take this metal shield off using a 16mm socket. There's going to be a bolt on either side. Once you get those 2 bolts off, I'm just going to smack this up in the air, and that's going to come right off. Next, we'll need to disconnect our fog light harness. So we're going to press in on this tab, and then pull that plug out. So next, we're going to remove the 8 nuts. There's going to be 4 on each side of the frame rail. We're going to use an 18mm socket for this. There's covers on the back side of the fog lights. We're going to take these covers off using a flathead screwdriver. There's 6 push pins in this. This is going to make it easier to get to the outside nuts. So same thing for these. We're just going to pry up on the center, and then we'll be able to pull them out. Once we get that off, we can pull this cover off. Same thing goes for the other side. So we're just about ready to remove our bumper. Everything's disconnected and all the hardware is removed. The last thing we'll need to do is take the 2 push pins out of this frame cover. The frame cover is attached to the bumper. It's actually holding it in right now. So they're going to have one over here and one over here. We'll just pull those out, and then we can take the whole bumper off. So with everything disconnected, pull off your bumper. So now that we have the stock bumper off, we're just about ready to install our new DV8 bumper. However, since I have these two sitting here, I just want to go over some of these features. Now, the nice thing about a stubby bumper is it's going to be much shorter in width than your stock bumper. This is going to leave your wheels wide open and give you a much better approach angle on the trails. The next thing to note is it's going to add D-rings to the front, and it'll also fit your stock fog lights. Now, it's only going to fit the LED fog lights. The stock halogen fog lights have a different bracket, so they won't fit. This has a gusseted stinger, so it's going to add a lot of protection to your grille of your new JL. It has a low-mounted fortified winch plate, so this is going to allow you to run a variety of winches up to 1,200 pounds. This is made of heavy-duty 3/16 and 1/4-inch steel, and it's powder-coated with a heavy-duty powder coating. So this is going to handle up to anything you bump up against in the trail, and it's also going to stand up to the elements. This stinger also has brackets welded up top, so you can add additional auxiliary lighting. This is really going to come in handy at night. And not only that, but this is the lightest bumper in the Hammer Forge line that DV8 offers. Now, with that being said, we're going to take apart this stock bumper, transfer over our fog lights and harness, and then we're going to get this thing installed. So we got our bumper flipped over, we're ready to remove our fog lights. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to press our tab in, and we're going to disconnect our fog light. Then we're going to use a 7mm socket. We're going to take out the 4 screws holding the light in. Same thing goes for the other side. So if you are planning on using your LED fog lights, you'll not only need to remove the fog lights, you'll need to get the harness out of the bumper. Now, to do that, we're going to have to take this cover off, and then we'll have to split the bumper apart to get the harness out. So the first thing we're going to start is we're going to remove all these push pins out of this front section. So now that we have that frame cover off, that's going to expose these top bolts. So we're going to go around and use a 7mm. We're going to have to remove all these top ones, and then all these bottom sections we'll be able to split the bumper apart. So all the screws out, we can separate the two halves. You're going to have to finagle these hooks out of there. After you get those two sections apart, we're just going to pop this harness out. So now we're ready to install our fog lights. We're going to use the hardware provided, install our clips on here, then we'll get these fog lights screwed in. Now we can place our fog light in. And then we'll use a Phillips head screwdriver to put our screws in. Do the same thing for the other side. So now we're ready to install the winch plate. We're going to do this before we get the bumper on. We're going to use 4 of the thinner bolts that they give us, and we'll put a washer on those. So we're going to put these bolts through the outside holes. And I'm going to get all of these in just so it doesn't slide off on me. We're going to place a washer, and then a lock washer, and then a nut. We're going to do that to all 4, and then we're going to tighten them up using a 16mm socket and a wrench. So if you are adding a winch, you're going to want to line these holes up with the plate before you tighten these. So the last step before we get this bumper on, we're going to install our fog light harness. You may need to zip tie the excess up to the bumper. So now we're ready to install our bumper. So now that our bumper's on, we're ready to install our hardware. There's going to be 3 studs and a bolt. Everything's going to get a flat washer and a lock washer. So we're going to put our flat washer, our lock washer, and then our nut. Same goes for the other 3, flat washer, lock washer, provided nut. So the top is going to get a bolt, a lock washer, and a washer. So the top outside one is going to be a 16mm since the nut is slightly smaller. And then the rest are going to be 18mm. And then the bolt is going to be an 18mm. So next we're going to need to plug our fog lights in. So we're going to have to remove this from the frame. And then we're going to have to reroute this past the bumper and then down underneath so we can plug it into our fog light harness. After you have everything tightened up and you plug your fog light harness back in, that wraps up my review and install. For more videos like this, check us out at ExtremeTerrain.com.